Hello, everybody. Beautiful people. Thank you for sticking around. Technical difficulties, I'm telling you, it's all me. It's all my fault. But we're going live, and I'm so pumped for tonight's episode. This one means a heck of a lot to me. I don't even think he knows this, but in my formative years, when I fell in love with singing and sang to the radio day after day, year after year, it was one of these voices that I heard a lot of, and that makes us sound old, but I don't mean it in that way. I mean it in the loveliest, kindest, heartfelt way that he was one of those voices that ushered me into music. He didn't know that, but now he knows that. So let me read you his official bio. We're going to bring Frank in a second, and we're just going to talk. So if you have any questions or comments for us, that's what the chats are for on Facebook or YouTube. Go for it. We are here. We are willing. So without further ado, here is Frank's bio. Radio veteran Frank McGwire. I do not have a radio voice, Frank. I know you're listening. Began his career in the spring of 1987 and is perhaps most recognized for his work as longtime morning show host, in Brandon, Manitoba on KX96, 1150 CKX and 1150 Kicks, and in the launch of the city's 101.1 Kicks FM in 2000, which is now, I believe, Bounce FM. In 2015, Frank was the recipient of the Radio Excellence Award from the Broadcasters Association of Manitoba for his outstanding contributions to local radio and his passionate involvement with the local music scene. So he sings and drums in a band, and we'll talk about that later. Additionally, Frank is no stranger to the written word as a longtime guest columnist for the Brandon Sun and the Wheat City Journal. And Frank resides in Brandon, Manitoba with his wife, Jerry, and their 14-year-old son, Ethan, along with the two Dashin/Jack Russells, Sam and Scooby, which we might even get to meet. We're not sure. And he currently owns and operates The Spark, an online radio station. Like, this guy's done it all: singing, speaking, writing. Come on in, Frank. Let's do this. Let's do this.
How's it going?
Well, it's going well. I'm so grateful, and like I said, this is a really special one for me because your voice was monumental in my life. Just ushering me through all these great tunes and telling me who they were and about the bands and all this kind of stuff. So, it's just an honor. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. So I'm just gonna dive into you and your radio voice, and it's brilliant. And big question first: how did you find radio? How did you fall into this career? It's such a unique thing to fall into, and especially in the prairies, it's not one that comes to mind first. So tell me about that. It's a big question, I know, but let's go for it.
I want to start, but actually I've got this gnarly overlap repeat in my headphones. And it started as soon as your intro started.
Oh.
So, okay. So I can hear my voice now, but in a delayed, like it's probably about 4 seconds off. Is that on my end or is that your end?
Well, this is what we've been dealing with tonight. Is technical. Live shows are fun. So I will get Sean on this and see what happens. My husband is in the wings.
The first few seconds were perfect, and then now I'm hearing two Jills, which is great. But I just wish it was at the same time. I wish you could have like a harmonizing setting or something like that.
Well, I could sing a note. No, let's see if it.
There you go.
No,
that'd be cool because then
your vocals
do that 3 times and you'd have like a harmonizer effect. Yeah, maybe it's just an.
Yeah. Well.
Because I wonder if I can hear you if I turn my.
You know what? My producer's on it. Check your OBS audio settings.
OBS audio. Okay.
Not audio. OBS audio.
Audio is on default. What does it got to be on?
Okay. What does it have to be on? This is live, folks. This is what happens.
It's not OBS. Here's default communication speakers 2. That's what it is.
Any better?
How's that?
Any better? I'm not hearing it. Is it better for you?
Oh, I got echo.
2. His earbud. It has to be on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Now, is it echoey?
No. Is it echoey on your side?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. Fart.
Hang on a second. No, I'm gonna.
Well, if I talk less and you talk more.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you perfectly. There's no echo. So, Well, we're going for it. What do you think, Frank? Do you wanna
Oh, now hang on a second. I've got audio now on my main PC. So if I
Okay.
take my headphones off,
Yep. Yep.
I'll be less, convoluted here.
Yeah.
So can
Are
you
we
hear
good?
me
I hear you perfectly.
right
Yep.
now? So if I say, hi, Jill, that's real
Hi.
time.
That's real
Okay. So
time.
the
That's real
headphones, I'm
time.
just going to unplug them
Okay.
and I'm going to listen to you through my desktop speakers.
Yeah. Sure.
Yay.
Okay, so
Crisis averted.
my first question is different because you are a live radio host, live time on the air. So how do you deal with stuff like this when it happens? Like glitches and stuff. How do you roll with it? What's that skill? How did you build that skill?
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Patience,
Mhm.
nerves of steel. You can't get wound up because you know what
Mm,
happens when you get wound up and stressed. It screws up your voice, right?
totally. I just heard it.
So there you go. So it's like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And all of a sudden everything gets constricted, and then you got to go on the air because the record's gonna end in 5 seconds. You don't want to
You have
sound
to.
like that. You want to sound
Oh.
smooth like butter.
Oh.
So
So
you
what do
just
you do? Is there like a Jedi mind trick that you
kind of, yeah,
Okay.
sure. Let's go with that. Um, no, it's just stuff happens, right? Intangibles
Yeah.
happen. Technical
Yeah.
difficulties happen all the time. You just got to learn to roll with it.
Yeah, yeah, and the
Kind of like what
patience,
we
I
just
love
did
that.
the last 5
W
minutes.
well, we just everybody saw, you know what? This is real, folks. This is
Hmm.
real. This is why we do it live and we just roll with the punches. So,
Hmm.
um, tell me about rolling with it with around the voice. Let's dive right into voice because when you're a morning host, I know you've done mornings and you've done other times, but morning voice is a thing for folks. And I wonder if you have any tips and
It
tricks
is.
that you could share with us about how to get around that and sound smooth like butter. I mean, listen to your voice. I'm just going to love on you for a second. Your
I,
voice
you
is
know,
epic.
I was going to ask you about that because some mornings, like, first of all, your voice is different when you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably has a lot to do with muscle relaxation,
Mhm.
time of day, obviously, right? And you're
Mhm.
just kind of getting that muscle going. And when
Yeah.
it's really, you just get up first thing in the morning, you're like, it drops an octave, obviously, right? So
Yeah.
as I get moving and have that first, second, third cup of coffee, then, to stay alert and do
Yeah.
my shtick,
Yeah.
it can kind of ratchet up. It gets torqued up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, I think just relaxation, maybe there yoga. I don't know what a guy would
Oh,
do
you're
to
so smart. You're right.
just,
The
you know,
stress. I mean, yeah, we just heard it in my voice when I was like, "Shit, we have technical difficulties." And it's my show, so I can swear. Sorry, sorry, family and kids. But yeah, so morning voice is a thing, and as singers, we're taught to get up 2 hours before we have to do any sort of performing because you're
Mhm.
dehydrated, you need more warm up because of that, and you've probably been sleeping with your mouth open, right? And so it's so dry and, just vocal warm-ups, time for those. Do you have vocal warm-ups that you do? I'm so curious about radio and how you take care of your voice. So any warm-ups?
You have to actually check
Yeah.
and see if it's there. You
Yeah.
really do. It's odd because the world's a different place when it's dark and it's 4 a.m. and I get up and my
Yeah.
family's still sleeping. And I get a chance to check it in the shower, obviously, or on the drive to the studio.
Mhm.
But as far as exercises, I might even just to get the cobwebs out. I might just do a weather check or some sort of a off the cuff, top of my head bio on a band driving to
Ah.
work, and you just kind of
Oh.
okay, that sounds good. Got my flow going. Kind of have
Yeah.
the muscles intact, and it's ready to go, right? Because you
Yeah.
can't just not say anything, like be like a Tibetan monk, get in your car, just be
Be
no
quiet.
words are coming out, and then you get in the
Yeah.
studio, you put the mic on, it's ah, you know,
Yeah.
you got to warm it
And
up.
it's different lengths of time, I imagine, depending on the day, right? So, you just feel when you're in the sweet spot, and then you're good, and you just kinda don't need to do? Yeah.
It's
Same as
and
singing.
it's
Yeah.
it's a very interesting instrument.
Yeah.
It can it really it is because yeah, and
Yeah.
because when you
Yeah.
sing, some nights you got a little bit more resonance, a little bit more timbre, and you're like, I've got way more confidence now. I know I have I've got a stronger muscle tonight for whatever reasons, right?
Yeah.
And when it's not on point or 100% killing
Yeah.
it, you got to
Mhm.
know how to adjust it, right?
Oh, you
And
do.
so maybe we can have this conversation, stimulate each other's brain and techniques that we've used over the years, and help some
Yeah.
people that are maybe looking for those pointers, because I'm always
Yes.
looking for pointers. I never stop
Well,
learning.
and it's so important, this crosstalk. This is what the show is all about here, is that radio and singing, like, we should be talking because we have different tricks that we learn from you
Yep.
from broadcasting school and me from singing in university. Like, it you would think it would be one curriculum but it's not, and it's very separate, and we
Mhm.
don't do the crosstalk. So I love that you're like, let's share some skills and tricks because yes, there's
You're
certain
using a
I've
technique right now. I see
yeah.
you've kind of cozied up to the microphone.
Hello. Oh, is
Okay.
this really a
See
thing?
that?
Oh, is
Yeah,
it
because you really
sensual?
don't have to. No, when you're that close, you don't have to project, right? You can everything, right? So when you're back off the mic,
Oh.
and
You have
you
to
kind of
yell.
have to project a bit.
Oh my
My wife and I
gosh.
had this conversation today about. I just signed up for voice123.com,
Oh,
and
I don't
what
know what
it
that
is,
is.
I don't know if you heard of it.
No, no.
Okay, so it's for announcers, guys that do narration, radio spots, whatever, everything from on hold messaging to hard sell commercials to narration, animated features, character voices, blah blah blah.
Oh,
So I put
cool.
my demo in, I signed up, I paid a fee, and what it is a database that allows anybody looking for a voice professional to voice their projects, whether
Oh,
it be
cool.
for business or school or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she said, "So what demo did you send?" And I said, "Well, I have a reel from some of my good stuff over the years, and I don't know, I just kept about 60 seconds of it, and I put it up there, and
Yeah.
that gives anybody who's looking for a different voice the opportunity to hear, oh, this Frank guy, let's listen to him, and your audio is posted up there, and
Mhm.
so that's how I get emails, notifications to audition for voice jobs." So I told her, I said,
Oh.
"Oh, so what voice are you going to use?" She said. I said, "What do you mean? What voice am I going? Are you going to use your radio voice? Are you going to use your singing voice? Are you going, to, And I said, no, hon. I said, I'm just going to use my voice, just like I'm talking to you right now, Jill. And
Yeah.
I said, it's not like it doesn't cross over in real life. Like the guy that does the brick commercials doesn't go home and say, "Hey, honey, I had a great day at work. Traffic was light, and I think it was partly cloudy and 22 degrees. How was your day? Did you get the shopping done? Are the kids getting home from school on time?" Like it just doesn't work that way.
So
But
Jerry doesn't hear that when you come home?
no, well, sometimes I
Oh,
take
this is so
requests.
good.
I
This
take
is my
requests.
biggest question for you is, like, how do you know radio versus normal? Like, obviously, there's a difference. So what would you pinpoint is the difference? How would you explain to somebody, "This is my radio self, and this is my
Mm.
personal self, and this is the difference?"
Well, the difference is you do have to project. You want to be heard. You want to
Yeah.
enunciate. There's these techniques you use when you get behind a microphone. This,
Uh-huh.
um, and that's just part of the craft, right? So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, there's a bit of a radio voice going on for everybody. You project your
Yeah.
voice. You're changing your voice. You're amplifying your own voice. That little thing in the middle of your neck in your
Yeah.
voice box. I
It's
was
pretty
making
amazing.
notes earlier, Jill, and I can't
Yeah.
see them. I didn't print them off, so I'm just going to try to remember everything that I wrote down, or at least some of the cooler stuff.
We can pause if you wanna find your notes because I'm the boss of the
Well,
show.
I don't know, this
Good
screen
thing
system
something.
is so high tech
Dun,
you've
dun,
got here.
da,
I
da,
was going
da,
to
da,
stop
da,
it.
da, 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 da,
Oh, I
da,
like
da.
that.
There you go.
Tom's Diner? Is that what?
Yes, son,
Oh,
that
I
is
figured it
right.
out. I figured it out,
Mhm.
Jill. Hang on a
I know
second.
you did. That's why I gave you a commercial break.
I
That's
love
what
it.
we do
Okay, so
here.
we'll go back. Yeah, there it is. There are my notes, but now I can't see you. Okay, no, I bring them down.
Um,
There you are.
there we
There.
are.
Hello. Okay, so
Hello. Yeah,
um, yeah. So what we were talking about, the difference between singing voices, radio voices, and
and
just
every day.
normal everyday
Yeah, yeah,
voices.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there's a major irony in my story as a radio broadcaster. I don't know if you know or not. And if I glance down every once in a while, it's because I'm
Oh,
looking
I
at
love
the
it.
fence.
The floor is
Um,
yours, Mo.
so I don't know if you'll allow me to share this story with you. So
100%.
when I was 12, I had a major motorcycle accident.
Oh.
I went through. I was on a bike that was probably too big for me. It was at 125 Yamaha. It was an
Mm.
enduro, so it was trail, half cross, motocross, half trail. And
Mhm.
my parents have an acreage, and the back 3 acres has a barbed wire fence on it, but the trail went past it. You had to do like a 90-degree turn before going through the fence.
Mhm.
That bike had a speedometer on it. So I'm 12 and I'm like, oh, how fast can I get? So I had the trail all
Yeah.
worked out. I knew the fence was there. And my second last lap before mom said, you got to get in now. We're having supper or whatever it
Yep.
was.
Mhm.
And so I went for it. And that last lap was almost the last one ever because I went right through the fence.
Oh.
I, uh, I wound up crushing my voice box. So
I did not
remember, this
know
is when
this.
I was 12, pre-puberty.
Yeah.
I wound up in the hospital for a week. My mom, when I managed to kind of crawl back the 3 acres to the house, knowing that my neck was bleeding. So Frank's 12-year-old brain's going, geez, maybe I shouldn't get my heart rate up so my heart doesn't beat and I bleed worse. Like I still have a bit of a 50 or 40 years later, I still have, Anyway, so I get to the
Wow.
house and mom, I have my neck covered. I remember saying, Mom, you got to take me to the hospital. And she's like, no, what are you doing? Get out of the house. You're all dirty. Cause I was dirty. I fell on my back into the field as the bike
Oh
was
my
going
god.
around in circles, stuck in the farmer's field. And so finally I took my hand away and she saw the cut and she freaked out, got me in the car. We drove down First Street to Brandon General. At the time, it was called Brandon General.
Mhm.
Got me in to see Dr. Swires, froze it up. She passed out in the gurney beside me.
Oh my god.
And I
Yep.
remember after he stitched me up, Dr. Swires said, were you wearing a helmet? He was a British fella. Were you wearing a helmet, Frank? I said, no, actually, I wasn't. And he says, if you were going 5 to 10 miles faster and you were wearing a helmet, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. Meaning the G forces from the helmet
Oh
plus the
my
extra
god.
speed would have been enough to either decapitate me or cut the jugular. So, anyway, so I'm in the hospital for a week.
Wow.
I was in traction for 4 days, all pre-pubescent years of my life. I had 14 stitches. I crushed my voice box. So
Oh my god.
this is right at the end of the summer, Jill. So the last week of the summer and the first few days of school, going into grade 7,
Oh
I'm
god.
in the hospital and so what happened was I get into grade 7, new school, right? It's junior high for us back then. And I still have the bandages on because there was still kind of scarring and scabbing and it wasn't pleasant to look at. So they decided to keep the bandages on for a while. And while everybody's, nicely getting into puberty and getting their deeper voices, here I am, I got this cracky voice
Oh my
and
god.
I sound like, hey, Vinny the loan shark. Hey, how
Oh,
you doing? You
wow.
got that money for the big guy? Or do I have to pull out my lead
Wow.
pipe and kneecap you? I had that nasty,
Wow.
scratchy, just
Yeah.
embarrassing, gross voice because my voice box had been ruptured.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I guess I'm lucky that I overcame that and
Oh my
decided,
gosh.
when you go in junior high, you're like, well, I got to figure out by high school what I want to do for a career.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So you take
Yep.
the curriculum, you get your courses and everything. And what do I decide in grade 10? I'm going to be a radio guy. you
That's
know,
amazing. Okay, so was that experience with your voice box injury directly related to wanting to do something with voice, or had you wanted to do something with the voice before that?
it wasn't, that wasn't it. What I liked to do, I took I had a strong liking for drama and theater
Cool.
and doing a little bit
Yeah.
of acting and the music thing when I was young. Well, I started playing in bands too. Remember when I was 13?
Mhm.
So soon after that, I started playing in bands. I had been drumming on and off since I was a kid. My first instrument it was actually guitar. Um,
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was 10. I remember I was 10. I went down to 10th Street, downtown Brandon. Mom and dad didn't take me in. They sent me into the building and said, "You go, we'll watch." And I had to go up the second floor, and there was a room full of Fender guitars. I can't remember the teacher's name, probably because unfortunately he wasn't that good. But anyway, uh,
I
if
love
he
you.
was great, I would remember him. I remember my first drum teacher, Doug Sullivan, awesome guy. Learned a lot from him, and I still see him around to this day.
I think that was
So
one of Sean's teachers too, my husband, for those
yeah,
of you who don't know that. Yeah,
Doug was
I
fantastic.
think.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
um, getting a little bit off topic. So I got into voice and all that sort of thing because I thought, well, I can still do the drama thing. I can
Mhm.
still kind of perform, right? There
Mhm.
is an art to it. And then when I decided to go to college, you had to go to college to get, I got my diploma in Saskatoon.
Mhm.
And it was then I had to just say, well, I can't do the drumming thing anymore. I have to pursue this. And I thought, well, I can't play music, but I can play music on the radio and talk about it. So
Oh,
it kind of
wow.
fulfilled, yeah, that want to do that sort of thing.
Well, it makes my heart sing that you still drum and you're singing in a band. So you've got the radio side where you got to play music and talk about music and have your, theatrical background come out in your storytelling, but you still got that performance side on the other element, the other side of the record, if you will, which is super cool.
Well,
Super cool.
it's thanks. But to go from like we all have, I think it's about 6 stages of where our voices change through life.
Mhm.
It's just natural. Some more noticeable than others. So, like I mentioned, there's that puberty thing. We all have
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
That's the first big natural one. Then, as you get into your 30s, it does shift a little bit. And pretty
Mhm.
much every 7 years, you get a little
Makes sense.
noticeable change. Your
Yeah.
voice is its strongest, probably, I would say, in your 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
But you can do things to strengthen your voice, right?
Sure can. Yeah.
Muscle, there's things you can do to
Yep.
work it out, right? Keep it sharp, keep fit with
Yeah.
it. But I like to say that those changes of your voice, it's kind of like going through the Simpsons characters, right? You could start as Bart Simpson and then go all the way up to Grandpa Simpson. You get that old man voice, you know.
Oh,
So
I love it.
through the gamut of from
Yeah.
6 to 86, and yeah. Anyway, sorry, it
Yeah.
was a little bit of an offshoot
No,
there.
no, this was completely awesome. This is actually the segue into my next question
I'm
because look
sorry, I
at
kind of
you
went
and
off the cuff there.
no, the art of storytelling and conversation. You just demonstrated it brilliantly. You had us all leaning in going, "Oh my god, what happened next?" So tell
Why
me
is he talking
about
about the Simpsons?
tell me about what you like some tips and tricks that you can share with people because they're always going to ask me, "Oh, what's some tips and tricks I can use
Mm.
the art of conversation, especially live on air, where number one, we're maybe tempted to fill in the silence with lots of ums and ahs and and we don't know where we're going. How do you
Mm.
what is the art of conversation? How about that? In
Well,
your mind? What is it?
just knowing, have a good start.
Yeah.
Have some bits in the middle that is just going to keep people kind of engaged with it, keep them interested, and then know when to wrap it up. Knowing
Mm,
enough is enough. As far as the ums and ers and ahs are concerned, you're gonna have to go over stuff. You're gonna have to prepare. You're gonna have to
mhm,
rehearse. Like if you have a
mhm,
gig coming up, and, oh geez, Sean, we got a few new songs. I
mhm.
got to go over the lyrics. Well, of course you're going to go over the lyrics because you want to know. You don't want to have to look at a lyric sheet.
Yeah.
That's right. And if you have that memorized, you know for a fact that when you sing that song, knowing that you've got those words down perfect, now I can get on top of those notes. Now I know how
Yeah.
everything flows. Now I've got
Yeah.
confidence.
Yeah.
So that helps too. You don't just go into the studio and do stuff off the cuff. It's fun to do that,
Yeah.
but when you're on commercial radio, you have to keep it 60 to 90 seconds. The average
Wow.
attention span is 45 seconds. So
Uh-huh.
if they're not interested again after 45 seconds, they're probably gone before you wrap up. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I've had enough bosses that took the time to take me aside and say, "Hey, Frank, you're good, but you don't need to talk so much. Here's a trick.
Wow.
Here's a trick. Just give them a little bit. Leave them
Ooh.
wanting more for the next day."
Oh, I like that.
So I did.
Oh,
So
okay.
you
So
can
I'm gonna
structure.
ask. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead,
You
go
can
ahead.
structure
No.
things that way, and you can
Okay.
compartmentalize things that you talk about. Maybe you can even build features into your show and say,
Mhm.
today in whatever the health file or whatever, we're going to talk about this, right? How to keep your voice stronger.
Okay.
Tomorrow, join us for tips on, you know, having
Okay.
more defined definition in your triceps or whatever, right?
Lovely.
So,
Yeah.
and that's just a horrible example because I'm the most unfit guy.
No, it was great because I was just about to ask for an example, and there you are with the tricep example.
I don't
So
know.
I love it so much, but you're
Yeah.
right. There is an element of preparation that needs to happen because oftentimes, I mean, in the era of YouTube and podcasts, when everybody can have a show,
Mhm.
you can often think it's a natural talent, which I imagine there is some natural talent going on for people like you, and there's some learned skills happening where you've practiced to get as
Yeah.
suave and smooth like butter as you are. So, what are some of the learning curves you've had as a radio host? Whether it's early mornings and how to navigate those, we kind of talked about
Mm.
that, or wrapping things up, or what is some of the biggest takeaways you've learned in your career, your amazing career that you've got an award of excellence for?
Mm.
What can you share?
Things that, well, I don't know, just when you go over, have a point form, like bullet points,
Yeah.
know how to get in, and for God's sakes, know how to get out of your little shtick, right?
Hmm.
Know when know when you've kind of hit the peak, and just go, and just know when to wrap it up. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll have completely written out bits that I wrote the night before, and
Wow.
I've rehearsed them. Okay, hey, that's 60 seconds, and that sounded pretty good. But when I'm
Cool.
doing them on the air, I'll know how to even condense it even more because I'm not going
Mhm.
off script when I'm
Yeah.
off. That was Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy. Coming up, we had no. I have my topic. I back sell my record. I give the
Yeah.
typical time check, whether how you doing, establish the
Hmm.
show name, and then say, by the way,
Hmm.
have you heard of the ba 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 ba? You get into it, and sometimes I'll have it rehearsed to 60 to 90 seconds, but when I get on the air, I get going through it and it's 40 seconds, and that little goes off. You've achieved the peak. Ding! Wrap it up. One of my first bosses' voice, and guys, wrap it up.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
all those things are going on, but you just to wrap it up. That's
Yeah.
you've said enough, and that little point I told you earlier,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
But
yeah. That's so
it's
good.
tough the first few years of radio. You wanted to just go blah, just give it everything, right?
Yeah.
But it's being
Yeah.
refined over the years. That's what we
Yeah.
do, right? We get as a person,
Okay.
you'll become more and more refined and figure it out along the way.
Now, do you find that you have to put on any persona, or does it feel like yourself as a host? I'm always so curious about that. Do you feel like a different person when you're on air, or do you feel like yourself just magnified a little bit in certain areas?
Yeah, you have to, right? Because you don't want to
Yeah.
sound, you want to sound a little more interesting. So if you tweak
Yep.
up the voice, um,
Mhm.
make it a little sharper, have inflections and the right enunciation on everything. Um,
Mhm.
and that helps, right? Because
Yeah.
like, look at people that act. That's not them. They're putting on a
Right.
character, right?
Mhm.
I we had this I had this conversation a lot of times with another one of my more recent bosses, and she would say, we want, as the company that owned us at the time,
Yeah.
our MO is to have announcers that are more natural sounding. I find that your
Oh.
voice is a little more affected than most guys. I want you to lay back a little bit more and just be yourself a bit more. And
Hmm.
I said to her, well, I can respect that and I appreciate that, and I will attempt to do just that. But I come from the school of radio where I listen to guys like, Don Percy and Brother Jake Edwards, Andy Frost, guys like that, and I heard what they were doing,
Mhm.
especially with the characters, right? And if you go
Mhm.
further back to the early '70s, and you had those shock jocks, just high energy top 40 radio jock, that might as well just be a cartoon character.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
love that. And I find that today's radio is lacking that because everyone's just
Yeah.
so natural, normal. We're just going to have a nice conversation as I tell you about what's going on this weekend. That's nice. But I don't know. You put a microphone in front of
Yeah.
me as a performer, you're going to
Yeah.
get a performance. So
Oh,
it's
see, that's
that's
good though. I mean, who turns on the radio and wants to be bored, right? I
mhm,
find sometimes too that people overcorrect things and it becomes apathetic. I've heard
mhm,
some shows where the voices are couldn't be bothered. We're having a show today and this is what it is. And I just you do you, but I can't listen to it. I'm sorry. It's not doing
yeah.
anything for me. It just feels like you want to be somewhere else while you're talking. So I'll be somewhere else instead. Um, so when because this is interesting, when singers get comments like that on their voices, they completely like shut down. It feels really personal and almost like and not an attack, but kind of on them as a person. So how did
Mm.
you take that critique with that beautiful grain of salt? And how was that experience for you? And did you feel like um did you want to take it
Uh,
on, first of all? Yeah.
oh man, I
It's
did,
hard.
but I
It's hard.
always knew that I would pick my moments,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I would pick my moments to give it a little bit more. I don't know.
Mhm.
But it goes
Yep.
back to storytelling, right? You can be
Yeah.
boring or you can say, well, what little anecdote could I throw at them that they'd never get anywhere else, right? Or
Mm.
the element of saying the unexpected, catching people off guard,
Oh,
like
nice.
you use different little tactics like that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, just keep it short and sweet, but make it interesting. I don't
Oh,
know, like,
that
when
yeah.
sorry, when people talk about everyday things like, "Well, today, I went shopping, I went to get my groceries." Everybody does that, right?
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
but if something interesting happens, you have to have the ability to tell that story, but break it down to that 45-second to 60-second window that they would actually,
Wow.
give a shit to keep listening, and then maybe tune you in tomorrow to hear that next little vignette the next little yarn you're gonna spin, right? Um,
Wow. Wow.
so you have to have a little bit of there's a little shtick that goes into every radio announcer. I don't care who
Yeah.
tells you what it is or where they're on the radio. There is an element of that for anybody who cranks on a mic.
Oh, I can appreciate that as a singer rolling up to, the bar. I'm not myself on stage. I don't talk like this. I talk in this voice, right? Very exciting. And
Yeah,
here we are at the,
right. It's Friday night. Let's
North
have a good
40.
time.
Super soft voice, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
we all I had a really interesting conversation with a sociolinguist who says we have different voices in our lives for different situations. You don't talk to your
Mm,
friends and your grandparents the same way. And it's not you being inauthentic, it's just you just don't. It's just a thing we have. So there's so many places that we could go with this conversation, but one of them is your singing voice. So I want to talk about that, and then I want to follow up with your own radio station and talk about that experience. So
Oh,
your
cool.
singing
Cool.
voice, yeah. Your singing voice, Frank. Tell me about how you did you always sing? What's going on there? How did you find singing? And how are you finding being a lead singer, doing more of the lead singing, pardon me, in your
Yeah.
band? Yeah.
You know what? We don't have a lead singer. We have
Oh,
in my main 8-track shuffle. Hi guys, if you care to check this out later.
hi, track shuffle.
We all sing. Everybody except Creedy, the
Oh, that's
bass
cool.
player. He doesn't. He just plays. He plays the
Hmm.
bass, and but the four of
Ah.
us, the other four guys, sing. But I lately, every year that goes by, Jill, I seem to sing more. I guess that's a
Hmm.
good thing because bands that I happen to be in allow me to sing more than a few songs. So it's
Oh, that's
gone
good.
from, yeah, it's gone from, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm up to about a dozen or more a gig now, which is awesome.
Nice. Nice.
Um, but my earliest memory of singing, I can actually remember. I remember my folks had this Philips cassette deck, and
Mm.
I was 3 when I was introduced to it, and we used to live out in Kelowna, BC. And Mom says I would always be playing around with that thing. We moved to
Mm.
Brandon when I was 4, going on 5, and that was my first recollection of singing. My folks were big into
Oh,
country. They listened to a lot of the early 60s, 70s stuff like Johnny Cash, Buck Owens, Webb
nice.
Pierce, stuff, artists like that,
Mhm.
Wayne Stewart,
Oh, cool.
Freddie Fender, Freddie Hart. Anyway, there was a Buck Owens tape on that Mom loved, and she played the heck out of it. And I just remember his, and I believe it was Don Rich's, his backup singer. Their harmonies. If you listen to Buck Owens
Mm.
and Don Rich, it's the harmonies just make the hair on your arms stand up. And at that
Yeah.
young age, I loved it. Don't know why. I just sang along to it. But one day, I figured out how to record over a tape. So right at the end of the tape,
Oh
there's
gosh.
about 10 seconds on any cassette where you can put a little scotch tape over the holes on the top of the tape, put it back in the player, hit record. You can record onto that tape.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, so I recorded my rendition of that song, at least 10 seconds of it, at the
Oh,
end of
that's
that
cute.
cassette. And I never told anybody. I never told anybody. And Mom played it one day when I wasn't around. I must have been
Oh my
in
god.
kindergarten or whatever. And she took me aside and said, I know what you did. And I'm like,
Which one?
what? And I'm all sheepish. Sammer, hang on. Mid story, bud. My dad. He'll come on the screen right away. Anyway,
Oh,
so
nice.
to finish up that story, I'm all sheepish and embarrassed. And
Yeah.
so she played the tape back to me and said, yeah, you can take them home. Thanks, bud. And this is my boy rescuing
Oh,
me from my dad.
thank
Oh,
you.
no. That's okay.
It's live.
You can
It's
leave him.
life. This is real.
We're just live right
Real
now. That's okay.
real time at Frank's house, whatever.
Okay. Just walk down the hall. He'll come with you.
Oh, I got the giggles tonight. I love it.
Good. Thanks, buddy. I got a dog, half Dachshund, half Jack Russell, and a little bit of Chihuahua, and
Oh.
he can get gnarly
Uh-huh, the
sometimes.
chihuahua is
Love
spicy.
you too, bud.
Uh,
Yeah, my boy just came in to take him out of my office.
Aw.
Anyway, so the
Your mom knew what you
hang on
did.
a second. She knew what I did, and she played the tape back for me and said, what made you do that? So I had to explain that I just felt like doing it, and that was my first experience of singing.
Oh, wow.
I wish I had that tape now. It's long gone somewhere.
Um,
And the other one, you'd have to fast forward to about would have been about 13, 14. My brother and I shared an old set of cornet drums, red sparkly cornet drums, 2 rack toms, floor tom.
wow.
We had the rock dot heads on them, Peisty cymbals, big rec room in the basement, concrete floor, backslap wood panel walls, so the acoustics were really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my mom used to let me drum while my older brother Bill was at work.
Oh.
And so I get home off the school bus at about 4. So I would have from 4 to 5 to pound the hell out of those
Nice.
drums before Bill got home. And it was his turn to play because we shared them. But one day I decided to rig up a microphone. I rigged up a microphone. I had my oldest brother Mitch's Craig stereo. It was an old 70s Craig stereo. And I think it was probably BTO or something in the 8-track,
Mm-hmm.
played along to it. That's how I learned. I learned off of BTO how to hammer out 4 before I actually took lessons. But I rigged up a mic one day, and I'll never forget. I was singing "Day Tripper" by the Beatles.
Yeah.
Got a good reason, taking the easy way out. So I'm singing that, and Bill comes down the stairs, and man, was he pissed off
Why?
because I was keeping time and singing, and
Oh.
he couldn't do that. So I was like, "What are you doing, you little bugger? Get off those drums! Show me up!" Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't sing much after that because I knew he was pretty
Oh.
pissed. But then I just started up again.
Oh,
Right?
that's so cool.
It's when you want to do that certain thing, you
Yeah.
do it. And every time I get the opportunity to do it, I try to make it a little bit better every time, and
Oh, that's awesome.
hopefully more opportunities, come about.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're singing now because, those little heart whispers, they don't go away. Like,
No, they
they
don't.
don't go away, and, we try to push them away sometimes, and we try to do other things, pretending that they're not there, but, they
Mhm.
just don't, and so why not embrace them and use your voice in many capacities? Why not? I just find that awesome. So tell me about your singing voice. Same, different than radio, than normal, than how
Oh
would
yeah.
you
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
tell me about that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's way different.
yeah,
Radio, I don't know. I've always seemed to, I guess, you pull it down a bit. You shouldn't, but I do
but
because well, we go back to the motorbike accident pre-puberty. I had a very high voice, and my
oh,
college demo tapes are embarrassingly squeaky and high.
I love it.
I mean, those will never be heard by. I still have some lying
Are you
around the
sure?
house. Those are going to be locked away.
We're intrigued.
Lock them away. Throw away the key. No one needs to hear those.
Aw,
It's embarrassing. So I would pull my voice down a smidge
yeah,
until it got to the point where it was just like that. I think
yeah,
it's from years of working that muscle, it just became natural.
mhm,
But when I
mhm.
sing, you kind of have to go upscale, and
Are
everything
you up
gels
there?
by. You gotta
Yeah,
go, this is the flow,
yeah,
right? But
yeah,
and I say scale, not knowing how to read vocal music. I have no I do it by ear and by feel
yeah,
and intonation
okay,
and just my heart.
yeah.
Um, I mean, who's the other singer that does that? Like Michael Bublé does that. He
Oh,
doesn't
nice.
read. He doesn't read music. He
No,
croons how he feels and he kills it. He sounds
yeah,
like he's been studying for years. The guy's amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so back to your question, um, I do it's quite a bit different than radio,
yeah,
Frank, because sometimes I have to get hit the high harmony, and that's how I
mhm,
really started singing. It was like, okay, well, if I'm going to sing harmony on something,
yeah,
luckily I just have to remember the chorus lyrics. I don't have to don't have to
yeah.
remember the
Isn't that great?
most of the
Yeah,
verses anyway, unless there's some sort of overlap. Some
yeah,
songs there are, but
yeah,
usually just the chorus. So you only have to remember 8 to 12 words repetitive over and over. So
mhm,
having to sing that high harmony was my first kind of ability to sing. But
mhm,
there's two things you're doing there. You're not only projecting your voice to hit those notes, you have
yeah,
to blend your voice with the lead singer, and
yes,
and so I got to learn how to do that really well with some good singers over the
yeah.
years.
And you're drumming all while this is happening, right? Like, you're
Yeah,
drumming and singing harmony and blending the harmony and holy multitask. I have nothing but, like, admiration over here. It's
you gotta
true, it's
it's
hard.
just you have to listen, and
Yeah.
you have those nights where you're in full control, like your voice is like
Mhm.
just doing gymnastics and you think, oh, I can do this now. And I feel so confident I can
Yeah.
actually tweak that note or, go
Yeah.
this way with that line. Maybe I can do a little flourish at the end of it or something, just a little bit of you thrown
Yeah.
onto that cover tune or whatever you're singing.
Yeah.
And I notice it when the nights when I'm on and there's a little more strength there, a
Mhm.
little bit more control.
Mhm.
Those are the nights I go for it a bit more. And then there are
Yeah.
nights where it's not happening. It's just not happening. And you're listening
Yeah.
and going, oh man. So
Yeah.
you sing a little bit further away, further away from the
Yeah.
mic because you don't want to,
Or you
it
lean in
maybe
real close.
I, I still have pitchy moments, a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, we're dealing with a human. Our instrument is a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no
Yeah.
perfection. We can try as I'll just speak to the vocalist side. We think, oh, I'm going to do my warm-ups and I'm going to eat right and I'm going to have water, I'm going to have good sleep and I'm going to have a killer show. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
probably. But sometimes random things happen to you and it throws you off your game and your voice gets stressed and you get stressed and it's a different show. So it's a whole nother
Lubrication.
animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lubrication's a big thing.
Yes, talk
Uh,
about that. Mhm.
Rod Stewart used to, I don't know if he still does it, but he
Drink
like to
chamber.
have a couple of pints before I go on stage, have a couple of pints. And I don't know if he still
Nice.
does that. What is the guy? 70? He's pushing
Oh
80. He's got
gosh.
to be,
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of those guys do the libations before they go on. Like, I mean, have you ever
Yeah.
seen any classic Queen posters where they're playing wherever, and on top of Freddie's piano, there's, you'll have
Oh yeah.
Heineken or
Mhm.
various glasses of
Mhm.
whatever. He used to down vodkas before he'd go on for the big gigs to calm his
Wow.
nerves, one,
Yes, I know.
and to
Yeah, we did
lubricate
it.
his instrument, and then just go
Mm.
out there and proceed to have everybody in the palm of his hand with his amazing voice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I read that he did that, and
Mhm.
I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
who are your favorite singers of all time, male
Am
and
I getting
female? Top
am I
three.
getting interviewed by Frank McGwire? This is
Did I
so
just
cool.
turn the tables on
I
Jilly?
love it. I think maybe. Okay, my favorite singers of all time. Oh gosh. I'm going to say Mariah Carey because her voice and her gymnastics are phenomenal, and she hits 5 octaves of notes, which is just insane. Plus she came to me at my formative years, so she's always going to be one of my favorites. Steven Tyler is one of my favorite singers of all time. I saw
How
that
does he
man
how does he
live.
keep his voice?
Oh, I don't know what it's like a fine wine. He gets better with
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
I don't even know what's happening with that man, but it's phenomenal. So he's one of my favorites. Ooh. Oh, so many. So many. Alanis Morissette is always gonna be my favorite
Mm,
female of all time because it was the 90s and I was young and
mm.
that's just what happens.
I would say
Yeah.
Mercury would be
Yeah, I
the
was
top
gonna
for
say
me.
yeah.
I mean, come on, the guys.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
my notes, I was going over.
Yeah,
Let me
what's
just
on your notes? I'm curious.
let me. Well, I had like 8 pages of notes. They're out the window now, Jill. We're
Yes.
probably running out of time, but
Well,
he.
yeah.
Let's see. He had obviously he's got the huge rock voice, right? And
Yeah.
let's say one of the most recognizable voices in the business, probably.
Mhm.
I read somewhere that Freddie's speaking voice fell into the baritone range, but
Mm.
he delivered most of his songs in the tenor range,
Mhm.
and his range extends from the bass low of F2 to
Mhm.
soprano high of F6. So
It's
there's
nuts.
that.
It's nuts. It's nuts. It's
you, you
partly
know,
DNA and it's partly relaxation because when we're stressed, we cannot get those high notes out because we're trying to push or force them out and they just don't that's not how our instrument works, right?
yeah. Plus,
So,
there's just two things
yeah.
banging together,
Yeah.
like 120
Tiny.
times, per whatever it is second. I don't know what the math
Yeah.
is on it, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
mentioned Steven Tyler. He's probably up there with me. 73. How do you keep doing it at that age?
Oh my god.
But it
He's got
and
better
and
cardio
how
than
he
I do.
hasn't blown it out completely.
I don't know.
And I've always been a big fan of Bill Henderson from Chilliwack. Uh,
Oh,
he was actually
yeah.
my first interview in radio ever,
Oh, that's cool.
1987. And I remember that's back when I still smoked. They
Oh,
played
boy.
Spats, which was the North Hill Inn in Brandon. And
Mhm.
I just went up and introduced myself and talked to
Mhm.
him and his road manager and asked for an interview.
Oh my
And
gosh.
his only request was he first they didn't want to do it, and then he
Yeah.
relented and said, "Sure, okay," because I'm just a young, wet behind the ears kid, right? And he goes, "Yeah, but you can't smoke. You can't smoke in the room that we're going into." I said, "Okay, no problem." But he told me that early on, when he had to start singing more,
Yeah.
because at the time I think that the regular singer was gone, and this is back when he was in the Collectors before Chilliwack. So
Mhm.
his vocal duties increased. You had to sing more throughout the night. He says, and I was throat singing, and
Oh.
I'd
Oh,
last two shows, and I'd be
yikes.
gone. I'd lose my voice completely. So he learned
Mhm.
all the techniques to be able to keep his voice all these years. And you
Mhm.
go and you listen to him to sing. Now, Fly at Night, they're not hammering those high notes anymore, but they drop it a bit. And
A
he's
bit.
in his mid 70s, and he's still
Yeah.
doing it.
That's amazing.
Arms of Mary and all those great old songs. So I really like listening to him.
Yeah.
And I'll always enjoy Paul McCartney, especially when he's
Yes.
harmonizing with John.
Mhm.
That those are the stand hair on your arm standing up type of harmonies. That's the kind of reaction I get anyway.
Mhm.
And my classic list has to include, you might,
I'm excited.
but it's going to include Keith Richards.
Really?
His
Ooh,
pitch
I'm
is
leaning
still
right in.
amazing.
Really?
His pitch is still amazing for what he's put his body through over the years.
Oh,
Like I
man.
read
He's
his
pickled
book
himself.
Life.
Yep.
I read his
Oh,
book Life. Great read. Starts out
yeah.
with the drug bust during their 1975 tours. They drove through Arkansas. They were warned not to go
Oh.
through that region of the states because everything rock and roll and long-haired hippie rocker was like
Uh-huh.
against the lot of those
Nope.
boys down there. They got pulled
Mhm.
over in Arkansas and they had drugs in the car that they were in. And what a way to start a book, you know. And if you have Amazon and you get the audio book feature on that, you might be
Mhm.
delighted to know that Johnny Depp narrates it. So
Oh, perfect.
Keith said he
Oh.
slept back in those Stones days, the late 60s, early 70s heyday. He said he slept 2 days a week, like he slept twice a week. Could you imagine doing that and then having to go, like he only sang what, two songs with the Stones during live shows, right?
Oh, wow, wow,
If
wow,
that.
wow. Yeah.
So he knew he only had to sing the two songs, but he also had to sing the harmonies with Mick the whole night
Wow. The
on
whole
two
night.
nights sleep in a week. so we're getting off track, but honorable
No, that's
mention,
amazing.
Jill. I know a while back you were asking. I think it was on your Facebook page. You were asking about new singers that unknowns that turn you on. And I remember
Yeah.
letting you know about this gal. I can't remember her name, but speaking of new singers, there's a new
Mhm.
dude on the scene from England. He's not brand new, he's been around for 3 4 years. Sam
Mhm.
Fender. Check
Oh,
out his stuff.
I'm writing it down.
Sam
Sam
Fender.
Fender.
He's from England. He's got a strong Geordie accent.
Ooh,
And
nice.
he's got a song that's a hit right now. It's called Spit of You. And it's a very haunting tune, medium tempo. You might like that one for starters. Check them out.
Oh, well, thank you. That is super cool. Yeah, anything you have to share like that, like, take the mic, take it over. I wanna circle back though, because people are probably thinking that, "Oh, if I drink lots of alcohol, I'll be a really good singer."
I was
So
I was going to mention
so
that. Yeah, don't go out and get shit faced hammered and then think you can pull off a Freddie Mercury. It just doesn't work that way.
so let me
You can
say,
have water.
yeah.
You could lick
Yes.
your lips even, and that's
Water is good, water is good. I do understand nerves on stage, and so, le let's say, like, one will, like, okay, maybe calm those nerves a little bit, but
yeah.
any more than that, you might be a mess, first of all.
Mhm.
Or Keith Richards apparently doesn't. I don't know, what does he turn into a mess on stage? We don't know. He just rocks out and we accept it.
He's amazing. He's a freak of nature.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we might, dehydrate, so and that's not a good thing, so,
No,
yeah.
it's not good for
Talk
the
to me.
voice.
You hit on off the throat as opposed to like the full voice. Is
Ooh,
that a thing in radio voice as well? Like singing is all if we got to sing from our core, otherwise it's off the
yeah.
throat and you get tired way faster. So is that something in radio as well that you're taught?
Let me just. There's something that popped up
You've
on my
got
screen.
notes? Oh, it's very official. Are you
Oh
okay
no,
if we
no.
just stick around for a few more
My
minutes?
notes are gone.
Okay.
I
Okay.
closed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tend to do the throat, but you're supposed to. It's supposed to be from the gut, right? From
Yeah.
the
Yeah, same.
diaphragm,
Yep.
and same with singing too, because you'll
We
burn it out. Like these guys that
mhm.
do like that do Joe Rogan doing a podcast, like a 3 hour
Oh, gee.
podcast every day for 6 7 days a week. You're gonna blow your
Mhm.
voice out if it's all
Mhm.
throat. Um,
Mhm.
you ever? It's funny when I watch Family Feud quite a bit with Steve Harvey.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of a family ritual, right? So I come home from
Yeah.
work and there's Steve Harvey just yelling and screaming. And then
Yelling.
they tape about probably 10 shows at a time of Family Feud. And I've noticed
Wow.
sometimes his voice gets really scratchy.
Oh, that's
Like
so
I noticed it.
interesting.
The
Yeah.
layman might not, but I'm thinking to myself, they probably did about 10 tapings that day because
That's the
he's
last one.
just overusing it, overdoing it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and our instrument is phenomenal. I mean, I read somewhere, from a prestigious vocal coach that it's supposed to last us 24/7 without any issue as long as we respect it back, right? It's supposed
Oh,
to so it's like, "Oh, okay." So that is cool because we know if we're having an issue, other than being sick, you can't help sometimes you can't help that other than you wash your hands and you hope for the best. But if there's an issue happening, we know that there's some way to figure out how to, remedy it, which is so cool.
yeah.
Like, there's so much power in that, so I love that. I wanna keep you around for a few more minutes because we didn't get
Mhm,
to your radio station, and I'm so curious how that experience you own and operate your own station, The Spark, and
mhm.
just talk to me a bit about was it everything you thought it was gonna be to run your own station, first of all? Was there any hidden challenges in that? And was there
Oh,
any
yeah.
hidden opportunities in that? Yeah, big one.
I'll unpack it the best I can there, Jilly.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a labor of love, first of
yeah,
all. There were things that hurdles I had to jump, things I had to learn on the back end, encoders and whatnot, figuring out,
yeah,
how to just
yeah.
how to get it from my I use a Sam broadcaster mixer, so how to get that to the stream, then
Mhm,
web building and all that. I've got webmasters to help me out with that.
mhm.
But it's really cool to be able to pick your own stuff and play what you want.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
and then if I want to go on and do a show, I can do a show.
I love
Or
it.
if I want to run a syndicated show, I'll run a syndicated show.
Yeah.
If I don't, uh, let me put it to you this way: I don't have to adhere to CRTC regulations.
Oh,
There
cool.
are some regs on the internet, but they're not as stringent as the
Mhm,
CRTC, so that's nice.
mhm.
And realizing that it's become more than I thought, or I'm utilizing it for a greater gain. Yeah. First of all, I didn't lose any money with the venture. The first year was a bit rocky.
Yeah.
I had a significant amount of money invested, but that was only because of the some of the marketing pieces,
Mhm.
advertising it. I think if I adjust I got some signage.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
the big one. There's a
Yeah,
small one there is my messy office, but
that's
um,
cool. Is this where
so
you do
there's
the shows from, Frank? Is it do you work
yeah,
from home? Yeah.
I I do it in this office, but
Cool.
I can go downstairs with my mic here
Yep.
and a laptop
Of
and
course.
just go down to a nice cozy spot. I
Yep.
can pre-record my breaks on a software program and then just click and drag and drop them into my queue, right, which
Oh,
plays my
cool.
songs. So I got my
Yeah.
song queue. I know what I'm playing. I know what I'm going to say for my breaks, and I just kind of plop them in wherever I like.
Awesome.
But I don't do it every day because
Yeah.
it takes time, right? And I do have a full time job, and
Mhm.
you got to pay the bills with the tried and true stuff. But it's
I
a
get
nice
that.
sideline.
Yep.
As I said, it's a labor of love, and I'm,
Yep.
I'm lucky enough to have some sponsors that have come on board and they believe in it,
Yeah.
and it makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, I love that you're just giving the honest truth because a lot of people think, "Oh, if I just start my own business, my life will be roses." And yes, I mean, you get to do the thing you love more often and there's not a lot of rules around it, but then you've got all the business stuff you didn't even think about. And there's
Mhm.
stuff along the venture that comes up that you didn't even know you didn't know. So, there is labor of love is the perfect term for that. And not to dissuade anybody, if your heart's in it, go for it.
Yeah,
And just make sure
for
you know
sure.
the back end of stuff too, and who's gonna do it if you're not gonna do it,
Yeah.
what that looks like for
I,
you.
uh,
Totally.
I got onto a platform. I registered the Spark, which, by the way, is available at sparkwebradio.com.
Excellent.
We've branched out to voice production, commercial production, writing commercials. I even do videos now, video ads.
Ooh,
So I've kind
cool.
of expanded the marketing
Mhm.
platform of everything that I offer my clients. I just finished another one today, couple this week actually, video ones that are I'm quite proud of, and they're up on the YouTube channel.
Oh,
But
cool. I need to get that link
uh,
from you.
what was I going to say? What was I going to tell you, Jill? I was going to tell you a little bit about the station.
Oh. We were talking about
Anyhow,
being a business owner.
it's available at www.sparkwebradio.com.
There it
And
is there on the screen. Yep.
okay, yeah,
And
there it
what's your
is there.
YouTube? Because I don't have that on the screen here. So what's your
If
YouTube?
you search the Spark, I think
The
you'd be able
Spark?
to find it.
Okay.
Even just
I
put
will
in the
put that in the
Spark,
show notes. Yeah.
Westman's Home for Variety. It should be
Oh, I
up
love
there.
that. What kind of
But
music do you play out there, Frank?
it's
We didn't
classic
even
rock,
classic rock. Okay, thank you.
more 70s and 80s than anything else. But we sprinkle in some 60s, we sprinkle in some 90s, we even sprinkle in some stuff from the last 25 years.
Ooh,
And there's a little bit of local music content. So if someone wants to
cool.
submit a song, feel free. It's frank at sparkwebradio.com. That's the
Oh, that's
email.
awesome.
If you're a
Awesome.
local artist in Western Manitoba or even the province of Manitoba, we will
Yeah.
consider playing your stuff.
Oh, cool. Do you guys hear that, gals? Let's there are some chats I totally missed. Do you have a
Are we
second, Frank?
missing chat?
Where I because I'm so enthralled and leaning in and staring at your beautiful face, I missed a bunch of chats.
Someone
Let's
said
see.
Steve's voice is better now than in the 70s. Well, yeah, you take away the heroin, it'll get
Uh,
better.
oh, yeah, I'll show that one first. That was, with
Yeah.
Drum Geek. Oh, I know this guy. This guy's a
Yeah.
good time.
So that's
Here we
going
go.
fixed.
Frank, CKX always
Yeah.
had some really great vocal talent between yourself, Bobby Bruce, Ronnie Thompson, and Shaq. Who are some of your
Mhm.
favorite jocks and or some of your inspirations? Why did I read that? You should have read that. You're the beautiful radio voice. Oh
I
my goodness.
no, thanks for reading that.
Okay,
I don't
there we
have my
go.
reading glasses on, so I'm glad.
Thanks, Drum Geek TV. Thank
I
you.
have reading glasses. I'm at that age now, Jill, where I have to put these on every now and again. There we go. Oh, there we go. Now you can see why I don't put them on.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I Ron Thompson was like he's a god, man. He was.
yeah.
I had the pleasure of having an office just down from him, the same hall. And you talk about vocal warm ups and whatnot.
Oh,
Before
yeah?
he'd have to come down the one hall into the second hall and down to the TV studio, he would rehearse, but he'd be
Wow.
full on voice rehearsing, and I
Voice.
can hear it just booming out of his office into my office. So I
Oh my
got to
god.
hear his rehearsals pretty much every day.
Oh,
So
lucky.
yeah,
He had
here's a
like a
guy
James
that's
Earl Jones kind of a big boomy
got a big
yes,
boom. Yeah, for sure.
best I can say
Bobby
about that.
Bruce was good.
Yeah.
Who else did I from those days that I really like? Well, I mentioned my favorites were Andy Frost,
Mhm.
brother Jake Edwards for sure. I like Howard Manshine still. He's on 92 City FM still. I
Mm.
really enjoy him. Some of the guys at CFMI over the years, uh, some of the guys at Q107 in Toronto.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, for sure, like Andy Shack and those guys from Brandon that moved on to bigger and better things. Oh yeah, you always.
Yeah.
When I was a kid going to school, you listen to the radio and you'd hear those guys. So of course you're going to look up to them.
Yeah, of course, you can't help it, and, we're influenced by so many things and so many people, and, um, yeah, like, your radio voice may be influenced by some of the singers that you listen to, it comes from everywhere, so, it was I could talk to you all night, to be quite honest, but I know you're
Next
Next time,
you're
Jill, I'm going to be
you're a da
talking with the mic really close, and we'll do the
the
interview
the
this way.
nighttime interview where
Well, we'll get that delay thing figured out so I can wear the headphones and
well, we can have a part 2 sometime, so we'll figure all this out because there's so much that we didn't even hit on about your amazing career, but also just about the career in general. There's tons and tons and tons of questions I have, and I know, others will have some too. So, without
and I
further
want to get
ado
some more singing tips from you. So it's there
oh,
you
well,
go. It's
that
it's a
well, then
deal.
we should hang out. We should
It's a
we will.
trade-off.
We
Perfect.
will. Well, thank you so much for being on here tonight. I so appreciate that. You can find Frank at Facebook on Facebook at Frank McGwire. And also you said you can email you. Can you say that email again, Frank, for the Spark?
Frank at sparkwebradio.com. And we
Okay.
just added up a voice work page oops, there goes my pen. We just added a voice work page on the website,
Yeah.
and there are demos up there. So if you want to go to sparkwebradio.com, go to
Yeah.
services, the drop down is voice work. You
Yeah.
can hear some of those demos, and yeah, I do. I charge the normal fees for commercials. So if there's businesses out
Awesome.
there that need a voice, you could use mine. It's not that much to pay. I'm
Well,
saying,
it's not I can't believe it, but it's true. You can use his voice. It's real, guys. Gals, I saw it online. So,
and I
this
do
is so
character
cool.
voices as well. So
Oh, I'm gonna
there
need a
you go.
demo. What kinda what are you talking about? Character voice, like
Next
this
time we'll talk about character voices.
Okay, I'll write that down next time, character voices. Well, yes, and you can also, go on YouTube for the Spark and get some cool videos there. Frank, you're lovely, and, you're welcome back anytime, so keep in touch with me, and, I'm gonna close out the show, so bye, lovely.
Okay, have a good one. Hey, good luck with this stuff here, Jill.
Thank
You're
you.
fantastic.
Well, that means the world, so thank you so much. Bye, love. Well, everybody, that was so super fun. Monumental moment in my existence because I love when my life comes full circle. So, speaking of full circle, I'm looking to have the lovely M. Griner, who was the first artist I ever saw live, be on my show in November. So, stay tuned for that one. And I have the beautiful Buick Andra, a country singer and Grammy nominee, or sorry, Grammy winner, coming at you on the 12th. So, stay tuned for that. And you can visit us online. Here's our very official website, voxsana.co. I'm going to say co. It could be co. Who knows? And Facebook for now is only Facebook. Apparently I need to get on Instagram. I'm working on it. I'm a mama. I know nothing. But my dad said today he's on Twitter. I didn't even. He's not friends with me, so I don't. I don't know. I need to get out there. Facebook at voxsana.co. So thank you so much for watching and yeah, we'll catch you next time. Here's my very official outro song. Bye, y'all.